Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stunner, with another episode of VSW. Thank you. I really do appreciate it, but I want to get right down to the action. Oh my God, on the road tonight. Season 3, Episode 5 was fire. Like this, coming off of the huge pay-per-view double vision, this was like a tremendous episode. Starting things off right away was the Prestige against the Kids. Ricky Archer and Cruz. And, you know, Prestige is one of my favorite tag teams, like I said in another podcast. BRG, Channing Thomas, top of their game right now, really proving things. Great match to open the show up. Really was. You know, early on, the Prestige really working together. Really showing their, their friendship, their partnership, what it takes to be a tag team. You know, they were punishing Cruz in the corner for a while, really, not letting him get out, not letting him tag. And that's the key to tag teaming, is to not let your opponent get, the tag. You can stop that and you can cut the ring in half. You're on your clear way to victory. No doubt about it. But it is cutting that ring in half that you have to worry about. If you're allowing your opponent to tag in and out constantly, there will always be a fresh man in the ring and you're not going to get anywhere in that match. But the Prestige really worked good at this. They cut that in half and, they really worked Cruz in the corner. Finally, though, Cruz did get that tag in there, and, Archer got in. And when he did, he was fired up. He cleared house. He went wild on Channing. And he just really cleared the ring, taking out everybody. Really high-energy match. These two tag teams are at their top. We saw, like I said, the Kids at Double Vision. And it was just like I said, for these guys to come back on this episode and perform the way they did, I'm really astounded. I'm still in shock by this whole, the whole thing as we go through. It just ended as we go on air right now. So I'm still in a little bit of shock of what we witnessed. But anyways, like I said, they were fighting it out and they really, they took it on each other. Cruz, though, started to really come around and he hit that 619 and then the cutter off the top rope, and that's what really did it, giving Archer way to hit the pin. And it was a beautiful ending as the Kids took the victory over the Prestige. They did it, with what I like to say is a good tag team finish. They worked together to win that. I liked it. Good matchup. Really great opener. Really got in the mood for things. And really opened it up for this episode of Limitless on the Road. So you got the Kids with the victory there, and that's coming off of the loss at Double Vision, which I'm sure, they're feeling a little robbed out of, as MSP has some words for the competition tonight, as I believe they feel a little robbed out of that victory too. And, like I said, they got a tremendous tag team division growing here at Limitless. It's going to be interesting to see where it all goes. And speaking of interesting thing, we got to hear from Ava Everett herself, and she issued an open challenge. And this is where it gets interesting, though, folks. This is where it gets super interesting. It's an open challenge to anyone but Davion. She is not allowed to respond to this one, and this starts next week on the road. She says she doesn't like to do things twice, so we'll repeat ourselves. So, that's that. So she is not allowing Davion to respond to this, but she'll take on anybody else that steps up to the challenge. I can think of a few top females that might want to go after that. You got Ashley Vox. And, you got Paris. But you also got Ava could go up against Becca. And that's what things get interesting if you follow other promotions. Becca did beat Ava Everett for the chaotic women's title. So maybe Becca does answer that and put Ava in her place, or maybe not. You know, Ava is top talent for the female division in Limitless Wrestling. She proved herself many of times. I don't know if her last match against Davion was one of the greatest representations of her, as she did pretty much blindside her from the beginning of that match. You know, the next match after that, though, this was pretty good. This was a pretty good physical matchup. Tyree Taylor taking on Dylan Nix. And, you know, I'm a big Nix fan. I like him. I've seen him for a while. I've been watching him since probably the pandemic at the dojo. And he's, you know, really improved. And he's really a great, phenomenal wrestler. But Tyree was very aggressive early on. Really aggressive. Started attacking right off the bat as soon as the bell rang. There was no love to be shown. You know. A big, huge headbutt out of Tyree Taylor. Took Dylan Nix down. It was really starting to look like a one-side beatdown. I didn't know if it was going to turn into a squash match. It really, it was going in that direction in the beginning of this matchup. You know, Tyree Taylor really dominating things and really showing his brute force. And, you know, he's not happy with himself, I think, with his losing streak. I don't think he's happy, and he's taking his frustration out on Dylan. And that's exactly what he did. You know, finally Dylan came and he, you know, returned with a big spear to Dylan Nix. Returned with the big spear to Tyree Taylor. And, you know, it was a small turning point, I think, at that moment. A small turning point where, you know, he almost... I thought he was going to actually come back and win it right then and there. But it didn't happen that way. You know, Dylan rallied for a little bit. And he tried to go for a submission. Just kept failing. You know, and then it was just over from there. You know, as Tyree Taylor just continued to take him down. Huge lariat. End of the match. You know. And really dominant showing of Tyree Taylor. He's ready for it. He wants something. He wants blood. And, you know, at the end of the match, he, you know, extended his hand a little bit. Gave some fake props to Dylan Nix. And then another vicious attack to really just, you know, throw salt in the wound. This... You know, this really was just a display of power from Tyree Taylor, just to show, you know, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm still on the map. Don't forget about me. Don't sleep on me. You know, I might have lost a few times, but don't you dare sleep on me. I'm here. And I'm going to do what it takes, you know, to get to the top and what I want. You know, he's had gold around the waist. He knows what it feels like. He's definitely a contender. And after that display, you know, it could be sooner than later. You know, our third match of the night on Limitless was probably my favorite match. It's a 5-star matchup. This should have probably been on Double Vision. This was a great matchup. Unbelievable. Had my attention the whole time. TJ Crawford versus Nick Stapp. Two tremendous athletes right now, tearing apart New England. Crawford especially tearing apart the indie scene. If you follow him or watch him, he's just a phenomenal athlete and wrestler. You know, the match started off very respectable, both with fist bumps each other, and you know, and I think they had some respect for each other to begin with. And, you know, and then the bell rang. And, you know, it started off with just, you know, some ring games, I would call it. You know, TJ was kind of showing off and flexing a little bit. You know, they went up against the ropes a few times, missed each other. They were feeling each other out, definitely. Definitely feeling each other out. You know, they started to play around with the full Nelson. One of my favorite moves in wrestling. Both of them, you know, trying it out on each other, looked like not really having any success. It was basically a move-for-move chess match. Each time one pawn moved, another pawn moved. They were going back and forth, back and forth. TJ tried to get the upper edge with a huge cutter off the apron to the ring on the outside. And, and the battle just continued outside even more with back and forth action. Back and forth fighting. It really was, like I said, a really point-for-point match. Really tight. Really, really tight. And, then Stapp, coming back with his own. He smashed Crawford into one of the spectators, knocking the spectator, I think, out. I don't even know. He was out cold, I believe. And Crawford on the ground outside, laying down. And, these guys are just killing each other on the outside at this point. There was drop kicks and people just fighting outside to try to get control. The battle's going and raging on out there. TJ getting dominance for a little bit. Then Stapp taking dominance. Then TJ taking dominance. Finally Crawford with the power move. But, he can only get that 2 count. He just can't get it. He's just not able to take Stapp out. Stapp started to rally up, though. And more back and forth action takes place. And this is, the kind of the point of the match is I really started to really pay attention as these guys are really going back and forth, and it's an even Stevens match. They're fighting it, they're battling it out. TJ Crawford giving it all, Nick Stapp giving it all. He's not quitting. Both of these guys, and it's toe to toe. Kick out after kick out, nobody being able to get the victory. And then you got TJ comes with these explosive kicks and blows, the Nick Stapp. And he's asking him, he's begging him. I think he's begging him, please, just quit, quit now, quit. As he's just wailing on the chest with his feet. There's no other way to describe it. These kicks were huge. Huge kicks. MMA style, thunderous kicks. And, still, Nick Stapp ain't quitting, and Nick Stapp still kicking out at the count of 2. And they're down on the ground, And this is where I really have some respect for Stapp. After all that, he's still not quitting. He starts slapping TJ around down on the ground. That? He starts slapping his face, showing disrespect, showing he's not going to quit. I'm not giving up. I'm Nick Stapp. I'm going to show you who I am. You're nobody to me, TJ Crawford. And he starts to slap him around. And this is where it was kind of funny and humorous, but until TJ didn't think it was humorous anymore, with a huge headbutt to Nick Stapp. And, TJ is not afraid to use his head, I've noticed. He will use it a lot. He will use his head to get the advantage in a match. He's not afraid, of taking a bump to the head. God bless. But yeah, huge headbutt. And, the match just continued to go back and forth, though. As these two were just countering each other. And, you got, like I said, TJ's kicking out 1 minute. The next minute, Stapp's kicking out. Next minute, TJ's kicking out. Next minute, Stapp's kicking out. Finally, TJ gets he lands that big fireman carry, and he's the winner. And, I agree with the crowd that was chanting, holy shit, because, like I said, this match from beginning to end just did not, it just delivered and did not fail. It just was a 5-star match. These guys gave it their all. And that's what it's about at Limitless. That's what it's about in pro wrestling. That's what it's about in the indie scene. Giving it your all, showing who you are, showcasing yourself, and that's exactly what both of these great individuals did. Like I said, I was on the edge of my seat on this match. It could have went either way. The Windy City Kid definitely with the victory at the end was, I think, is just a surprise, but I would have been just as surprised if Nick Stapp had won. I said they were so close in this match all night long, toe to toe. TJ had the edge, though. I believe he just was a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive, wanted that win a little bit more. He's very hungry right now, eating up victories, taking on, people that he, that might be, new to him, getting out his comfort zone, really opening up the game for himself and changing it for himself. And, he's going to go places. A lot of places are going to want him. They're going to want to see TJ Crawford wrestle for them. And like I said, this is nothing against Nick Stapp. Nick Stapp did a tremendous, tremendous job tonight. He put on quite the show. He never quit. And he gave everything that he had. And it might not have been enough to beat TJ Crawford, but he definitely earned respect. And that's also what it's about. And speaking of respect, that would bring us to the main event of the night. And this was a special dog collar match with Iron Rip Bison and Alexander Lee. Alexander Lee has been undefeated this season on the road, taking out the students of the dojo. And Bison Rip was here to put an end to that. I knew was going to be a physical match. This was going to be a very brutal match, and it was. Dog collar matches are pretty brutal, but these two make it even more brutal. The battle began right away, blow by blow, vicious blows, back and forth. They just went at each other, ripping each other apart, just tearing each other apart in the beginning. Huge blows, monstrous. Would knock out the average human walking the street, these blows. But these guys are just absorbing them, punching back, and going full force. And this went on for quite some time. And then, something that struck me, Ripper, Bison Rips. He's not afraid to use his teeth. He takes one of the biggest bites I've seen out of Alexander's leg. Just really biting it. And I don't know how Alexander Lee could withstand the pain from that. Biting hurts. I have a kid, he bites sometimes and it hurts. And that's from a child. I could imagine how much force Bison Rips puts behind his chomp. I'm surprised that his leg is still intact. And then this was kind of like, Rip Bison dragged him to the outside and started to torture Lee on the outside. And started to, work on him, but Lee caught him. And this was kind of a little turning point for Lee as he dragged Bison around, raking his eyes with the chain. Just watching this was brutality. Some people can't watch it, different things towards eyes. They get squeamish when things go near their eye. I'm not like that, but this I could hurt, There's just ripping the chain across his eyes. And then Lee, with his own mouth, starts to bite Rip's fingers. A little payback there. And he was, just gnawing on his fingers as he's ripping the chain across his eyes. Just totally brutal match. But this didn't stop Bison Rip at all. Not 1 minute. He eventually could make the comeback. He found a door in the ring. A random just white door just lying around. He decides to use it as a weapon. He rams it into Lee at one point, just smashed it into his face. And then lays it kind of across, the ring and the ground. Lays Lee onto it, gets onto the apron. And a huge elbow drop right through the freaking door. The force of Rip Bison jumping through that, and driving Alexander Lee through that door that must have hurt. He's gonna feel that in the morning. That's gonna hurt. And he went for the pin. It was still only a 2 count though. And this is where it kind of gets dirty a little bit, They started going after each other's eyes, both of them. Ripping and gouging and just really trying to hurt each other. Just maim each other so they can't function anymore. They just went back and forth, just maiming and ripping at each other, clawing, anything. And they were both just hungry for this victory. Hungry to destroy each other. Both with the chains around their neck, there's no place to hide. It was war. It was total war. But finally, out of it all, Rip Bison with a huge lariat and getting the 3 count over Alexander Lee, ending the streak and winning the match. Congratulations, Rip Bison. What a tremendous match and what a tremendous victory. Well deserved. You guys crushed it. And what a show tonight. Like I said, what a show coming off of that Double Vision pay-per-view that this was. This was an unbelievable episode of The Road. If you haven't seen it and you have no idea what I'm talking about and want to see it, go on to IWTV. You can watch it right now. You can watch The Road. You can check up on Double Vision. You can watch other episodes of The Road, all the seasons. Catch up on all the action that Limitless has to offer. I'm telling you, it's something though. If you like good wrestling, you're going to like this. But tonight's Limitless The Road was fantastic. 5-star episode. Thank you again, Randy Carver, for putting on such great wrestling during the pandemic. Much appreciated. And thank you to all the talented students of the Limitless Dojo and Limitless family that wrestling, give us these great episodes every week. You guys are rocking out there. Keep it up. This has been a great night for indie wrestling. Thank you all for listening. Versace Stoner out.